You're watching Sports Central on CBS2, sponsored by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Sports Central Saturday. I'm Jim Hill, joined by former USC running back and current Dorsey High School head football coach Stafon Johnson and ESPN's Alan Sliwa. You know, before we start talking about the game we just saw, Coach Stafon, let's talk about your game last evening and how happy you are about that.
Oh, yeah, man. I feel real good about the outcome that we had. We was able to play our rival, and when it came in with a victory, 49-7, and the kids starting to come around. You know, the earlier part of the season, we had a JV team going in there, so due to transfers and things of that nature. So now we have a full team, and we look up to speed, man. We look ready to go. And the DDP community definitely came out and showed us a lot of love, man. A lot of people was out there, so I appreciate that.
49-7.
49-7, man.
Not messing around over
No,
here.
not
messing around.
Almost as bad as what we saw today. LSU taking care of Ole Miss by a score of 45-20. Speaking of Ole Miss, you played for Lane Kiffin, so you know it was really quiet in that Ole Miss locker room.
Oh, it's very quiet. It's very quiet over there. I think that Coach Kiffin didn't have nothing to do with this. You know, I think Brian Kelly and Bo Nix, not Bo Nix, Brian Kelly and Jaden Daniels, the transfer from ASU, came in with 5 touchdowns and kind of blew the doors off. You know, they couldn't handle that, and Kiffin couldn't get it done on the offensive side. So I think that they got some work to do, but, you know, falling to LSU as an unbeaten team definitely hurt.
Alan, speaking of LSU, they could do no wrong today.
No, they couldn't. They outscored at one point 42-3, so it just kind of shows when they went on their run, Ole Miss had no answer. For LSU, it's going to put them back in the rankings. They have 2 losses already this year. It's a big win for them. It's a big win for their program.
It certainly was, and of course we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But right now, what do you say we talk about the match of the day in college football? So 9th-ranked and undefeated UCLA traveling north to face number 10 Oregon in a battle of top 10 teams in the Pac-12. Here we go. Could a sold-out Austin Stadium in Eugene be a tough place and a tough atmosphere for Chip Kelly's Bruins as they return to his old coaching home? It was tied at 3 in the beginning of the second quarter. Bo Nix drops back and finds his tight end and Terrence Ferguson in the end zone. 17-yard touchdown. Ducks up 10-3. Dorian Thompson-Robinson is really loving and ready to go. And he comes back and he goes on the ensuing drive. Look at this. 1st and 10 at the Ducks 37. Thompson-Robinson hits Keegan Jones, who beats the defender, takes it 36 yards for the score. The Bruins tied up early on by a score of 10-10. But on the next drive for Oregon, Bo Nix makes them pay for it. He drops back and hits Troy Franklin in stride. 49-yard touchdown to go up 17-10. Stefan, that's really a thing of beauty right there.
Bo Nix looked real relaxed down in the pocket, standing there getting a big post down the field for the touchdown. Man, way to get some paint on your shoes, 11.
There you go. And the Ducks are kicking off after the score, and they go for the onside kick, and Allen, they recover it.
Momentum killer. You know, UCLA thinks they're going to get the ball back, try to tie the game. They're going to get the ball to start the third quarter. I thought this started really a tie for the Oregon Ducks that you couldn't stop.
And it worked for them, that is for sure. Now, watch this. Oregon is now driving, facing 2nd and 17. Nix finds Troy Franklin. Again, this time he makes the amazing sideline grab for the 26-yard play and the first down. That really is a thing of beauty, my friends. And 6 plays later, Jordan James takes the handoff and punches it in for the touchdown to go up 24-10. The Ducks would score again to go into halftime leading 31-13. To the fourth quarter we go. UCLA is down 38-16. Zach Zabre comes up. He takes the handoff, powers his way through the defense, 27 yards to the Oregon 14-yard line. And 2 plays later, Shibuye, right here, takes the handoff and punches it in for the 1-yard touchdown. UCLA now trailing 38-23. Ensuing drive for the Ducks, 4th and 4 at the UCLA 37. Bo Nix finds Bucky Irving for the 37-yard touchdown pass. Oregon goes on to win it 45-30, giving UCLA their first loss of the season. That is really kind of amazing. And, Stefan, when we think about this is a big-time performance by Bo Nix and the Oregon offense today.
To go in there at home and not to have any turnovers on the day and to be able to connect on so many different times of 4th and 4 and 3rd and 7 and things of that nature to keep the drive going and be able to use the play-action pass to his advantage. To have them big plays down the field is very, very, very good for him.
And, of course, the message to them in the locker room is, you know, see what happens when you prepare the right way.
Absolutely. I think earlier earlier on in the season, he had to get acclimated to the scheme and what they were trying to do and what they were trying to attack on the defensive side of the ball. And I think that now, game 7, game 8 now, he's trying to figure out some things and starting to see how he can get this thing going.
Okay, Alan, let's talk about the Bruins because they lose despite another big performance by Zach Charbonnet on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great individual performance. It's not like UCLA didn't put up points. They put up points. The problem is you got to play some defense. That second quarter alone, Jim, 28-10.
Yeah.
28 points for Oregon coming into this one in the second quarter. You got to be able to get stops. USC could talk about it from last week against Utah.
Absolutely.
It really comes down to the Pac-12. What team's going to play some defense? So for UCLA, they lost today, but there's still just one loss. I mean, still, in my opinion, if you'd have told me before the season started, UCLA has one loss on the season through 7-8 weeks, I think they would take it. They didn't make it happen today, but it was the defense, not the offense.
And maybe now this loss really got their attention and kind of helped them to refocus.
By the way, they have, both them and USC are in position over the next 3 weeks to win games that they're probably going to be favored in all of them. And then what happens after that? What are we, a month away now from USC and UCLA at the Rose Bowl? Both of these teams have done a good job up to this point.
And it's going to be a lot of fun watching them move forward, that is for sure. All right, my friends, speaking of USC, they are on a bye a week today, coming off a heartbreaking 43-42 loss in Utah last Saturday. Stafon, how would you grade the Trojans so far? This, Alan, is going to be really good to hear him say this. How would you grade them so far?
Right now, I say a B+. I think that we need to make sure that we created more of a presence up front, in the front 7, and then be able to stop people when they passing the ball. I think we wasn't able to stop them on plenty of times, and to give up 43 points in one game. It's definitely looking at the defensive side of the ball. I think that the offense could have changed some complexity of the game, being able to run the ball a little bit more, take the ball out of their hands, But all in all, I think that we still got a little work to do. I think if we be able to continue our winning throughout the rest of the season, we should have a good chance of going to the playoffs.
You like the way he says we?
We should.
I'm sorry.
We should.
No. Don't be sorry.
You should. If I said it, it would be weird.
Yeah.
You played for the dang team, all right?
Okay, Alan, wide receiver Jordan Addison. I mean, he was hurt last week, but he's being listed as day-to-day. How important has he been to the SC offense? 585
yards so far this year, 7 receiving touchdowns. Their offense is averaging 40 points per game. He's been a big part of it. Here's the good news for USC. Their next 3 games, at Arizona, Cal at home, Colorado at home. I don't think they're going – if Jordan Addison, you take your time, right? Day to day, make sure he comes back and he comes back healthy. They still got Mario Williams. There's a lot of weapons on offense. They got a little bit of time before you go up against UCLA. Obviously, he's been key to them, but right now I think the offense not the issue. Really, it's the defense that you're hoping cleans things up.
Now, my friends, when we think about it, of course, the centerpiece to this team is quarterback Caleb Williams. And how impressive has he looked so far to you? Yeah.
I mean, one of the best in college football right now, and he's obviously got the ability to do it, whether it's throwing, whether it's his ability to scramble, just to take a play that there's nothing, and look at Utah last week, using that as an example, opportunities to make plays out of nothing, so he's been fantastic.
And when we think about Caleb, not only is he great on the field, but look at all the wonderful things he's doing off the field in the community.
Yeah, I was looking at some things about some anti-bullying things that he has going on. I think that's very prevalent in the Los Angeles County area, and try to get that message out. Who better than somebody that has a big name in LA at this point in the USC starting quarterback. So being able to attack those things on the field and also off the field is definitely a beneficial thing to where he can be able to win the Heisman soon.
And, of course, everyone in Trojan land is voting for that. You better believe it. All right, my friends, here is a look at the remaining schedule for the Trojans starting next Saturday on the road against Arizona. They wrap up the regular season with 2 rivalry games at the Rose Bowl against unbeaten UCLA, and then they host Notre Dame on Thanksgiving weekend. And with USC on a bye, Caleb Williams now is making a good use of his time, spending Friday afternoon in the Boys and Girls Club of Metro Los Angeles to help kick off a new partnership between the organization and the Williams Foundation. Caleb Cares, that's a great name, isn't it? Williams hosted an anti-bullying event and handing out the first Caleb Care Awards, the Hero Awards, honoring a student each month who exemplifies kindness, empathy, and respect, and is a good role model to their peers.
It's kind of like my mom's daycare, kind of makes me remember that, and it's kind of refreshing. Just seeing a bunch of little guys running around, little girls running around, just enjoying themselves. And then also I was a part of a Boys and Girls Club when I was younger. So it kind of just resonates with my younger self. And I decided I wanted to join and partner up with him.
Isn't that cool? Isn't that just wonderful? You know, he's talking about his youth and how he was developing younger and how he wants to help other young people develop.
I think that experience is what it's really made about. You know, being able to have that experience as a young fella and being in those Boys and Girls Clubs and those people that have came in to speak to you and how they was able to change your life one way or another is very, very huge. So he doesn't know who all he could change at that point.
Alan, and you really kind of think and you say, oh, wow, he's touching some young people right now. And the way he's touching them now is going to last with them forever. You
know what I love about this, Jim? He's still in college.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what I think. We see a lot of professional athletes do this. But for him, SC is as big of a brand as there is in the country. Caleb Williams is as big of a name as there is in the country. For him to reach out to some of these kids like you're talking about, it will impact them for the rest of their life.
Way to go, Caleb. You are helping a lot of young people to keep the faith. All right, everybody, stay right where you are, because coming up, more college football, including a battle of unbeatens in the ACC as Clemson look to avoid the upset at home against Syracuse. And coming off their huge win over Alabama, how about next week, third-ranked Tennessee rolls at home against UT Martin. We'll have that for you. Plus, we're going to check in on the #2 team in the nation as Ohio State was looking to avoid a letdown at home against a tough Iowa defense. All that and more when we come back.
Sports Central is sponsored by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good time.
Welcome back, everybody. Let's head to Columbus. #2 ranked Ohio State hosting Iowa. To the end of the first half we go. The Buckeyes leading 19-10. Iowa looking to really drive down the field, but Spencer Petras right here pass is intercepted by Tommy Eyenberg. Look at this. He takes it back for the touchdown. Buckeyes going to the locker room at halftime up 26-10, 33-10 in the third. Buckeyes driving down the field, and C.J. Stroud connects with Marvin Harrison Jr., who makes the amazing 18-yard grab for the first down. And one play later, Stroud finds Mika Wubake right here in the end zone, 13-yard touchdown. The Buckeyes pour it on as they go on to win by a score of 54-10. All right, 6-0, #3, Tennessee hosting UT Martin for their homecoming game. Volunteers took it to the Skyhawks 14-7 in the first. Hendon Hooker right here throws into the end zone to Ramil Keaton, who makes the catch. Tennessee leads 21-7 at the end of the first. 24-7 in the second. Hooker throws out right to Jalen Hyatt. He breaks the tackle, goes 22 yards for another touchdown. Volunteers extend their lead to 31-7. Now 45-7. Volunteers really pull out the old play trick right here. Alan?
Yeah, I don't think they needed a trick play today, but that one definitely looked beautiful, perfectly executed.
Okay, here we go. Tennessee improves to 7-0, beating UT Martin 65-24 behind a season high 696 total yards. That is absolutely incredible. Meanwhile, another matchup of unbeaten teams in the top 25 today is the ACC. 5th-ranked Clemson hosting one of the surprise teams, really, of the season, 14th-ranked Syracuse. The last 2 undefeated teams in the ACC square off with conference title hopes on the line as Syracuse takes on Clemson, tied at 7 in the second quarter. Here we go. Clemson is scoring position, but the ball is fumbled. Carter scoops it up, and he is absolutely gone. Stafon?
Man, I love that. It's a defensive dream right there. Picking up a score and getting a defensive score is definitely a big thing for the football team. He'd be headed in the right direction.
And showing his speed, Syracuse takes the lead at 14-7. Then just before halftime, Garrett Schrader escapes the pocket and takes off to run it in himself for the touchdown. Syracuse now up 21-7. But things change in the third quarter. Tigers still down 21-10 now. 4th and goal. Phil Meffar runs into the end zone to bring Clemson to within 5 points at 21-16. Then the following drive for the Tigers, Will Shipley breaks through, 50-yard touchdown run. We have ourselves a game in the fourth quarter, 22-21, Alan.
That's a game changer right there. You had a 21-10 lead going into the half. Clemson looks great.
So with 11 minutes to go, the Tigers decide to go for 2. Freshman QB Cade Klubnik escapes the pocket, finds Joseph Nagata out of the back in the end zone. They're up 24-21. Orange still trying for the comeback. Schrader looking to go long, but R.J. Mickens jumps in front of the interception. Clemson holds on and comes out on top, beating Syracuse by a score of 27-21. That's their 38th straight home win, the most in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Their 14th straight win, which is the most in the country.
You know, you have to execute your plan to win, and that's, win the turnover margin. We didn't do that. You know, I thought we played hard, played with great effort. You got to make a difference in special teams. We did that. You know, you can't have, you got to have two more big plays than the opponent. I think we were able to do that today.
Now back to the game you saw earlier right here on CBS 2. Undefeated Ole Miss travels to Death Valley as they face SEC West rival LSU. The Rebels continue to fire on all cylinders. On their opening drive, Jackson Dart fires downfield to Jonathan Mingo for the 37-yard first down at the 1-yard line. Ole Miss punches it in for the score on their first drive, and it leads 7-0. Different in the second quarter now for LSU, trailing 17-10 on 3rd and 3. Jaden Daniels finds Kashawn Botey right here, 20 yards for the first down. Daniels then runs in for the end zone for the score, and they all tied it. It's all tied right now, Stafon.
Yeah, I think somebody needed to cut off the water right there. The offensive coordinator found some in the defense that he wanted to exploit, and Jaden Daniels did his thing with that.
Now in the third, here come the Tigers as Daniels finds Mason Taylor for the 1-yard run. Taylor with his first career score. It's 24-20. And in the fourth quarter, Daniels turns on the Jets and takes it in himself for the 6th. Look at this. Daniels finishes with 3 rushing touchdowns. LSU puts it away, winning 45-20.
Our best players played well today, and our defense, hats off to them in the second half. Obviously, that's a really good offense that they shut down in the second half.
It means a lot. Like Coach said, just the consistency, trusting the process, our preparation. After the Auburn game, me and Coach had to talk, and he's like, just go out there, trust yourself, trust your receivers, be decisive, and good things will happen.
So after Ole Miss, UCLA and Syracuse are lose today, and they are now just 6 undefeated. 6 undefeated teams left in college football. Georgia and Michigan did not play today, while 8th-ranked TCU is in action against number 17, Kansas State. That will happen later on this evening. Stafon, thinking about all of those unbeaten teams, who stands out to you the most?
I like Georgia. I like the way they've been playing on both sides of the football. I like the way that their defense has been playing. I like the way that their offense has been striking on both running the ball and passing the ball. I think that they're a well-oiled machine and they have a lot of experience. So I'll go with Georgia at this point.
Alan, what about you? Which teams do you like a lot? Which ones do you think really have the best shot?
Well, here's the great thing. Ohio State's going to play Michigan. And the one you just said, Georgia, who I think is the best team in the country, November 5th, Tennessee at Georgia. So we're going to see. And Tennessee's already won. They beat Alabama. Obviously, they're feeling good about themselves. But getting a chance to see those teams go against each other, and like I mentioned, you got Michigan and Ohio State going to play each other as well. What more can you ask for, Jim, in college football right now?
It's really amazing. Coach? What about Clemson? They turned to a freshman quarterback to get the job done today. What do you think about that?
I was kind of shocked about it, but anything to get a W at this point, to remain at the winning streak that they have. They came away with a slight loss, and I think they wanted to go to this kid a long time ago. I was able to see this kid in the All-American game. He really can throw the pill.
And when you think about it, it gives him a great deal of confidence to go in and to do what he did with all this pressure on him.
I think that they knew what they were getting in him when they first recruited him, and he showed today, showed poise, was able to come back and finish the game off. And I think that's what it's all about, especially when we're talking about the quarterback position. You have to be able to finish the games off with a W, of course. So he's able to get that done.
Yes, and finish. He did. All right, everybody, coming up next, we're going to turn our attention to the NFL and the Chargers, who are riding a 3-game win streak in tomorrow's game against the Seattle Seahawks. We'll have that for you. And with the NBA season underway, there's already trouble in Lakerland. We'll discuss the purple and gold problems that they have when we come back right here on CBS 2.
Play of the Day, sponsored by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa.
Oh, got your back out there, man. Big fan, brother. Big fan. You ever seen Practical Jokers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy over there, what's his name? There's Sal, there's Murr, and then there's the other one. That's the other one's over there, though. Had to tell him I was a big fan. Yeah. Had to go let him know. Big fan. Yeah, boys. Let's go, man. Monday night, prime time.
What's up, 3-0?
Let's go, baby.
Yo.
Let's have a day, brother.
Yeah.
Make some plays. Prime time, baby.
Prime time.
Let's get it done. Yeah, boys.
Let's go, buddy.
Yeah, boys. Yeah. Let's go, boys.
Hey, let's go, man. Protect that house.
Yep.
Start fast, finish faster. Start fast, finish faster. Let's get it.
Let's go.
Oh! Give it 2.
Woo!
cash out and go get what you deserve.
Yeah, sounds like one of our production meetings, doesn't it, in back? Just kidding, just kidding. A new episode of Chargers HQ is on CBS 2 tonight. This week include a segment with running back Austin Eckler, who's mic'd up for Monday night's win over the Denver Broncos. You can see the whole episode here on CBS 2 coming up at 6:30. And when we think about it, the Chargers are seeking their first ever 4-game win streak under head coach Brandon Staley. And tomorrow against the Seahawks, Stafon, a whole lot rides on that. But, of course, it all comes down to the shoulders of one Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job so far this season, you know, trying to get this offense going with a lot of key injuries and, to the starters, of course, to the O-line and D-line, a couple of receivers. I think Keenan Allen is out, so he's been throwing the ball great. I think he hasn't been able to get the ball completed in the end zone. So just to get once he gets everybody back around, I think Keenan Allen is a game-time decision. That'll help out a lot.
But Allen, he'll be facing a lot of great defensive players, especially the cornerback position, and they've got one of the top corners in the league.
It's interesting, Seattle, right? That's not a team that you thought was going to make much noise. Here they are sitting 3-3 in the NFC West. So he's a game changer. Anytime you have a player this young that can impact the game on the defensive side, that's obviously big. And you're right, Justin Herbert's going to be paying attention to where he is tomorrow.
Of course, we're talking about Tarek Woolen, and he likes challenges. He does not back away from being challenged himself.
I got to imagine that, you know, this is such a cool moment for him. He's in the NFL, his first season. The Seahawks not expected to do much. Jim, I'm with you. I'm sure this is a guy that loves those challenges, and he's got Pete Carroll next to him that obviously knows a few things about the defensive side.
That's a comfort level for him right there, having Pete Carroll next to him, that's for sure. And the Charger offense really could be in for some reinforcements in this one with wide receiver Keenan Allen. A game-time decision tomorrow, but, you know, if there's any way he can get in, he will be there.
I think he's definitely a heart and soul in this offense, especially like I said, getting the ball into the end zone and getting into these little pockets so they can be able to keep the drive going. I think Herbert is definitely thankful of him. So having him around definitely makes it a lot easier for him.
And one of the things people are talking about, Charger fans are talking about, are them going on a little win streak here because they need to put together 2, 3, 4 wins in a row.
Absolutely. I think Eckler can't do it all by himself, and I think that he'll try as well. He's like one of those competitors to where he's going to keep on trying. He's going to jump and crawl and scratch and do whatever he could to try to get that W. And getting some reinforcement, like you said, is definitely a help out tremendously.
And whatever happens, we'll have it for you right here on CBS 2. All right, my friends, what do you say we talk some NBA action right now? Because the regular season tipped off this week. On Thursday night brought us the first Clippers-Lakers showdown of the season.
Leonard, long shot, got it.
And there's no problem scoring in blue, right?
Lakers have come back from 16 down.
The Clippers beat the Lakers for the 8th straight time on Thursday night, winning the Battle of L.A. 103-97 and sending the Lakers to an 0-2 record. It was also the first game for Kawhi Leonard in over 16 months as the Clippers open up the season with the victory. Kawhi will rest tonight with the Clippers on the road against the Sacramento Kings. Now, these two teams are seemingly headed in opposite directions right now, Alan. So what do you make for all this brouhaha with Russell Westbrook as well?
You know, it's unfortunate that so much attention is going towards one player who's not Anthony Davis and LeBron. Those are your two main players. So what do I make of it? You know, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Darvin Ham is first year as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. He's got all the leverage. If he thinks, hey, Russell Westbrook can help this Lakers team, keep him in the lineup. If he doesn't think that he can help, then it's okay to have Russ sitting on the bench. Don't pay attention to any of that other noise out there. Lakers should do what's in the best interest of the team. Darvin Ham keeps mentioning that. I know Russ had a really, really bad game on Thursday night.
And even LeBron is starting to talk about little question marks here and there as far as offensive scoring is concerned.
Well, look at this. Shooting-wise from the three-point line the first two games, Jim, 22.5% from three. You're not going to win many games. They've taken 85 threes in the first two games. I think what LeBron is saying there is really tough to win games on offense when you got that many good looks, but nobody that can put the ball through the hoop.
Can the Lakers make a run with LeBron and with Anthony without Russell Westbrook, or do they need to make a move with Russell and move him someplace else?
As constructed right now, I don't think there's two different classes. They're not in the class of the Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, some of these other teams in the West. Look, I'm sure there's pressure on the front office that they want to do something, but they also don't want to mortgage their entire future to do it. Let's see what they end up doing.
Meanwhile, you have the other tenants right now at Crypto.com Arena, the Clippers. and all the expectations, because they, you know, when you watch them practice, you see this look of confidence, a lot of confidence in each and every member.
So championships are not won on paper, but if you look on the paper,
they win.
They got 12 they go 12 guys deep. Absolutely. And that's not a joke. I mean, and Ty Lue, also look at him. He's a coach that has won an NBA championship before. It's impressive.
And you're a basketball fan. You know all about this.
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'm definitely a Laker fan, and I'm still hanging in there. I believe in Darvin. I think he's gonna definitely get us going. But like you said, I think the Clippers are definitely the deepest team in the NBA, from point A to point B, from top to bottom. So if they can stay healthy, they're definitely a dangerous team.
Well, whatever happens, we'll have it for you right here on CBS 2. All right, my friends, how about this? Nearly 30,000 fans packed the Coliseum last night for the latest edition of the East LA Classic as Garfield High held off a rival Roosevelt High School. And coming up next, Bulldogs head coach Lorenzo Hernandez and quarterback Damian Cabrera will join us live in studio to talk about that big victory and a memorable night at the Coliseum. All that and more when we come back right here on CBS 2. And welcome back, everybody. It was a packed house at the LA Coliseum last night for one of the biggest games in Southern California high school football history. The East LA Classic between Garfield High School and Roosevelt High School. Roosevelt snapped a 10-game losing streak in the rivalry last year. But after trailing 8-0 at halftime, Garfield quarterback Damian Cabrera rushed for 2 touchdowns in the second half to lead the Bulldogs to a 16-8 victory. It was an amazing atmosphere, that's for sure. Joining us live here in the studio right now is Garfield head football coach Lorenzo Hernandez and junior quarterback Damian Cabrera. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for being here with us. First of all, let's get to the quarterback. I'll save the coach for coach a little bit later. Let's talk about you. How do you feel today knowing that you played in front of that huge crowd last night? And there was, even though it didn't seem like it, there was a lot of pressure on you gentlemen.
It just feels so unreal, you know, because it was just it felt like a dream. It felt like a dream playing in that, because a lot of kids are able to just. I'm just grateful for the opportunity to play on that field, and yeah.
And how about the fans? There's a lot of people there watching you. There's a lot of people watching you. Did you soak that in at all about all the people that were there?
Yeah, I did. That's why I was one of the last ones to come out of the tunnel. I just wanted to soak everything in, all of the fans, the atmosphere, everything. It was great.
You know what I noticed? I noticed there was a lot of trash talking, but most of the trash talking was in the stands and not in the field. It's really amazing how these two schools really bring out the best of each other as far as rooting is concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a lot of trash talking this game, but we didn't let it get to us. We just let it come out on the field.
And here's what I really like. Coach to coach.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I just appreciate everything you've been doing, Coach. You know, and I think that the game in itself shows so much about what was written across his jersey, was a tradition. And what are some things that you do to kind of keep that tradition going and keep that alive, to keep your kids interested and wanting to keep playing for you?
You know, it's interesting. That's a great question. But one thing that we do is we have developed an amazing culture there at Garfield High School.
Absolutely.
And the community, you know, the community of East LA, and they really believe in what we're doing. And when I say the community, I also mean our school community. Our principal, Mr. Andres Favela, is a leader, amazing leader. We just have everything that we need there because of everyone that's willing to support our kids, and our kids believe in what we're selling, and tremendous staff and tremendous kids, and that's why we just keep rolling.
Absolutely. I think that's the best thing about high school football, is to be able to track that tradition and be able to feel it when you go to these football games. It's amazing.
Damian, let's talk just a little bit about your touchdowns last night, because your touchdowns are the ones that really sparked everything on offense.
Yeah, I just wanted to punch those in to get the crowd going. You know, it was just really big. I just want to thank my O-line. I couldn't have done that without my O-line.
Do you fully realize how important you are, not to the offense, but to the entire team and to all of your fan base?
Yes, I do. I can't lose control. I got to keep my poise, keep calm, collected, keep my composure, and just keep the offense going. I
know we talked about it just a little earlier, but were you able to kind of soak up and you looked up in the stands and saw all those people?
Yeah, I was, and it didn't feel real. It felt like a dream.
It's really kind of amazing, Coach, because I know you're used to playing in big games like that, and watching this team last evening was really a thing of beauty. It gave you goosebumps.
Absolutely. I think watching all these people, especially at the Coliseum, that's a great venue to have, and it's very historic and has exactly what we talked about, you know, with the tradition part of it. And now you got the keys to the city now, my man. So it's definitely feel good, and it's an understand that, you know, the Battle of East LA was won in your hands.
Yep. Coach, let's talk about what's next for your club and how you're going to prepare them for the rest of the season after they're really high right now, and sometimes when you reach a height, you have to think about, well, we're going to have a little dip someplace.
Yeah, absolutely. And the greatest thing about this is that we have an amazing coaching staff, and they understand that, and they go ahead and progress, and we work through things, and we take one game at a time. And of course, you know, we still have one game left in season. Of course, we're not going to look forward. We're going to continue to prepare as if that's another championship game, and we'll move from there.
How difficult was it last night? Because it was a tough game. I mean, it was so close for so long, and it seemed like the only people that had their cool in the Coliseum were the players on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we go back to what we stated earlier. You know, these kids believed in what we were selling them. They understood, you know, keep your composure, like Damon said, and just understand it's a process and work through it slowly, methodically. We asked our defense to give us a couple of stops, and second half shutout again, you know, tremendous by our defensive staff, and got to give credit to that defensive line. Got to throw out a shout out to, you know, our guys, Donovan Reyes, you know, James Estrada, you know, Anthony August Jones, and James Andrino. They really stepped up, and to stop a double wing offense. I know Coach knows about that. It's you got to tip your hat to Roosevelt. It's not an easy deal.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Now you can go back home and get some more rest, because I know how tired you are. All right, everybody, stay right where you are, because coming up next, right here on CBS 2, more on today's game, which saw UCLA suffer their first loss of the season on the road against Oregon. Plus, we're going to check in on the Texas Longhorns in a top 20 showdown against 11th ranked Oklahoma State when we come back right here on CBS 2.
Sponsored by Action Ion Charged Alkaline Water.
All right, everybody, the Ducks were certainly charged up for today's game against unbeaten UCLA, running away with this one in the first half behind a 28-point second quarter, blowing out the Bruins 45-30 to hand them their first loss of the season. Oregon quarterback Bo Nix threw for 283 yards and 5 touchdowns in the victory. So UCLA suffers their first loss of the season. They host Stanford next week, but won't really be tested until maybe they face USC. That will be in November. So, gentlemen, let's talk about the Bruins and where do you think they will go from here, and how will they handle it the rest of the year?
I think Chip Kelly is just definitely starting to get his identity into what he wants on the offensive side of the ball. I think that they need to start getting more of stops on the defensive side. I think that they couldn't stop a nosebleed today, and I think that once they get that going, and especially got to give credit to Oregon. Oregon came out firing and played great at home with the beautiful uniforms. So I think that UCLA definitely can remain where they at. You have them doing a great job of running the ball with Cabernet. So I think to continue to keep doing that and try to develop their defense as they go.
And Alan, when we think about Chip Kelly, he has his way of doing things, and many people said, well, but now maybe they're starting to see the light.
I think they are. And you know what? Listen, UCLA should feel good about themselves. They got one loss on the season. They're 6-1, X amount of weeks into the college football season. Like you mentioned, Jim, look at their next 3 matchups. Stanford at ASU, and then Arizona. They should feel good about where they are. Oregon has 1 loss. It's against Georgia opening the season. Everyone loses to Georgia. So it's a tough place to play on the road. I know UCLA wish they would have grabbed this one, but they got to focus on the defensive side. That's the key.
Going to be a lot of fun watching them the rest of the year. That is for sure. All right, my friends, what do you say we go on now with some Big 12 showdown action as number 11 Oklahoma State hosted number 20 Texas. Fourth quarter, Texas leading 34-27. Spencer Sanders hits up Braylon Presley in the end zone for the touchdown to tie the game in Stillwater. Now, 3 minutes left in the game. Sanders finds Bryson Green, who escapes the tackle and heads to the house. Stafon, he's really on the move.
Absolutely. You got to be able to tackle and wrap him up, man. Great job, number 9, man. They're ready to get some paint on your shoe, kid.
Meanwhile, Texas looks to tie it up with 17 seconds left, but yours is picked off by Kendall Daniels. Oklahoma State holds on to win by a score of 41-34. Meanwhile, for the first time, Notre Dame and UNLV meet. And Notre Dame Stadium, this is amazing. The Fighting Irish opened with a strong start. Opening drive on 1st and 10. Audric Estem comes up and runs it in to get into the end zone. Notre Dame on the board, leading 7-0. Let's jump to the third quarter. Irish up 30-14. Chris Tyree runs in an 8-yard touchdown run to extend the Fighting Irish's lead to 34-14. But Las Vegas isn't giving up on the ensuing drive. 4th and goal, Jordan Young-Humphrey scores a touchdown to make it 37-21. Irish would respond immediately. Drew Payne right here quickly tosses to Braden Lindsey to really seal it for Notre Dame. And Allen, this is really a breath of fresh air for Notre Dame.
Yeah, they need it. I mean, we know the way they started, so now to be 4-3, to take care of UNLV like they did today, it's a good win for Notre Dame.
Yeah, Notre Dame wins it. They beat the Rebels by a score of 44-21. And when you think about it, Notre Dame got a much-needed victory at home to improve to 4-3, but they still have to play Syracuse, Clemson, and later USC. Does this Irish team win 6 games this year?
Oh, I don't know. I think that I have a lot of confidence in Coach. I think that he needs to revamp it. I think this offseason, after the season, will be very big for him, trying to get recruits in with the transfer portal and things of that nature. Try to get some more talent in here. I think it took a big drop as to years previous. But once I think he gets his identity in there, gets some of the players that he feels that can be beneficial to this program, I think it'll be good.
Alan, he was talking about talent. Talent in what specific areas do you think?
Well, I think for Notre Dame, I think anytime you get a brand new coach walking in, it takes a second, right? Like for him he's going to end up getting his recruits down the road. I mean, that schedule that we just saw right there, if they win one of those 3 games, it might be an accomplishment. Absolutely. But it takes some time to get some of his guys in, and hopefully that program just progresses.
It's going to be a lot of fun watching them. That is, excuse me, that is for sure. All right, my friends, stay right where you are, because coming up next, it's Studs and Duds, featuring the Blue Devils defense putting the press on Miami to force an onslaught of turnovers. We'll have that for you. And this week on the Boys in Blue, Gil Pena-Lopez catches up with former general manager Dan Evans, who helped set the franchise on its current path nearly 2 decades ago. All that and more when we come back. And welcome back, everybody. Dan Evans got the Dodgers back on track as general manager in the early 2000s. I mean, they won the National League Western Division in 2004, and they got their first postseason victory since 1988. But even with success, Evans was out when the troubled Frank McCourt ownership era began. Still, he remembers his time in L.A. very fondly, and now he has a gig in Iowa that has brought him new happiness. Gil Pena-Lopez now has more.
Boys in Blue, sponsored by Capozio Buick GMC.
Your thoughts on that time and how you kind of got the franchise turned around there?
You know, my experience in Los Angeles was spectacular. I loved it. I absolutely loved working for the Dodgers. I always looked at them as a model franchise, and they had slipped. And luckily, I worked for 2 great people. Bob Daly and Bob Graziano were unbelievably good people. And they gave me a chance to do some really fun things and special things and turn around a franchise that had hit hard times. And you remember those days. I mean, it was it was trying times for the franchise. But my biggest memory is I loved living in Southern California, and I loved the Dodger fans. They were demanding, they were hard. I mean, stops at the gas station were always filled with conversations about my employer. But there was a passion there. Had it not been for the ownership change, which was as Dodger fans remember, was not a good time for the franchise, I think we would have done some even better things.
Obviously, that was a bit of a tumultuous time period for the Dodgers, but did you feel like you sort of, put the franchise in good standing and in good position, especially with, the players that were on those teams?
I do. And I think what we instilled again, Jill, was returning to the ways of the past, reestablishing a franchise that had gone wayward, kind of off its rails. We suddenly brought those people from the past and reestablished a commitment to the franchise's fan base, doing things the right way. For me, Jill, elevating the bar. But I admittedly, and Dodger fans need to know, I didn't root for him during the McCourt years. And I was very open about that. I didn't, but now I do. And I root for him because they have good people and they have a commitment to being excellent.
You were a big supporter of Kim Ng, who was your assistant GM on those teams and stayed with the Dodgers for a long time. Your thoughts on what she was able to do with the Dodgers and then in turn becoming a general manager, first female general manager in baseball and all of the 4 major pro sports.
An exceptional person, a fun person, a true pro, and on top of it, great at what she does. You know, I was championing her cause for a long time. And because she was the best candidate, the problem was there were a lot of people running teams who weren't ready for that moment. And I give the Marlins credit because they were. She's exceptionally talented. The day that happened was one of the best days of my career.
You've transitioned your career into doing some other things, and we see the cornfields back there, you're COO of the Field of Dreams. What does that job entail, and what has that been like for you?
You know, it's everything that you think it is. It's an iconic, idyllic setting. My mother on her deathbed encouraged me to go because she and my dad had hung out there when they were filming the movie. The setting, the movie, the magnetism that it has 30 plus years after the movie was out is incredible. And then we were able to bring the 2 games to the site, and we'll bring more down the line, I'm sure. And we're excited as heck to share that worldwide.
And speaking of sharing, we're going to share something with you. Studs and Duds, featuring an all-time bad performance from Weber State's long snapper. We'll have that for you when we come back. All right, everybody, I want you to check out this jaw-dropping play from Vanderbilt's C.J. Taylor. He hurdles the Missouri running back to get to the quarterback for the strip sack and recovers the fumble for a touchdown. Taylor doing a little bit of everything there, but the Commodores lose by a score of 17-14. All right, my friends, the NFL is back on CBS 2 tomorrow with the Week 7 clash in the NFC as the Dallas Cowboys host the Detroit Lions. Kickoff is set for about 10 o'clock in the morning. And then at 4 p.m., we hope you join us for another edition of Sports Central right here on CBS 2. All right, time now to wrap things up here on this edition of Sports Central Saturday with Studs and Duds. And here we go, starting with a stud and a dud. Another basketball blue blood start for the gridiron today as Duke improved to 5-3 this season, beating Miami 45-21 in Miami. But get this, the Blue Devil defense forced 8 turnovers in the victory. For Miami, that's the most turnovers by a team since 2017. Gentlemen, sometimes some things just leave you speechless.
It's going to be a lot of dashers, up, downs, bear crawls, anything you can think of with that. There's no excuse for that. I mean, you can't get
quarterback, it makes sense. 8 turnovers, not real college athletes, not real college guys.
Okay, our next dud takes us to Bozeman, Montana, where the Weber State long snapper Grant Sands had a brutal day at the office, giving up 3 safeties to Montana State off bad snaps in the first half and another one in the second half. The 4 safeties are an FCS record for a single game. Embarrassment, embarrassment, embarrassment.
Man, Damian Lillard is turning over in his Weber grave.
Add up the points. Only 8 points. He only gave up 8 points on his own with 4 safeties.
That's a touchdown, 2-point conversion.
But he'll get teased about that forever, won't he?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. It's the wrong side of the record books right there, buddy.
Okay, our final stud takes us to Dallas, where number 21 Cincinnati avoided the upset against SMU, holding off the Mustangs 29-27. But what about this punt, gentlemen? That was a conference record 84-yard punt from Cincy's Mason Fletcher. You talk about flipping the field. That's exactly what that did.
Man, returner got to stop the ball, man. You can't let that keep going.
He kicked that from his own 5-yard line.
Yeah.
And ends up in the back of the end zone.
Have you ever seen anything like that?
Not like that.
Not like that.
From his own 5 and ends up in the back of the end zone. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I had a punter named Brent Kern that is really good. So I seen some goodness, some greatness in right there in front of me. So I guess I can take him too.
So as we look at the rest of the college football season, what are your thoughts? Do you see any surprises? Probably not.
I don't think so. I think it's starting to pan out. It's starting to structure the way they're supposed to.
That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Central Saturday. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jim Hill. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.